Chromebook, right? It says it's
Yes,
recording.
yeah, there we go. Okay.
Okay.
Well, Brian,
Yeah, I guess hopefully you got enough space on your Chromebook to save
I
it.
hope so. We'll find out.
Find out, yeah. We'll find out. Well, all right, gentlemen, we're gonna go through stuff. I pulled up a few things and just have I'll start sharing my screen and we'll look at the app and everything. So let's begin. Desktop 2.
Okay, I see your screen.
All right. All right, what do we got going on here? All right, so I just pulled up the code. Daryl, have you been able, or were you able to get into all this, or like clone the repo, any of that kind of stuff? Because we can walk through doing that if you have not.
Oh, no, the answer is no.
Okay,
Do I have to be on a Windows computer or does it matter?
it doesn't matter.
I mean a Linux computer.
No,
Okay.
nothing is nothing about this parts are
Oh, looks like you're doing this on a Mac anyway, right?
huh?
Looks like you're doing this on a Mac anyway.
Yeah, I'm on a Mac.
And that's what I'm on. What's Warp?
Warp is just a command line. I mean, you could also just be in terminal.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Right.
So it's just a fancy terminal. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. What's that? Okay. All right. So what you can do really is do you have Visual Studio Code?
No.
Okay.
Visual Studio Code? Nope.
Do you do you have like
some
a different,
development package from Microsoft, I presume?
it's an IDE, integrated development environment.
Right.
So you can get whichever one you use, or I mean, I use VS Code. I think there's others, but
Okay. What
Go
is
ahead.
most of this code written in?
most of this code is JavaScript.
JavaScript.
Right.
So it runs in the user's browser, most of it?
Yep, it's a web app.
Okay. But I mean, there's got to be server code too, right? Obviously.
We use not really. So we use backend as a service called Firebase.
Okay. Okay, now wait a minute. The back end is a database, right?
Yes.
Okay, so JavaScript can be manipulated on the user's browser. Any savvy user can go change it, make it do anything they want. What protects against them doing all kinds of things to the database that they're not supposed to do?
The database layer has security measures.
Okay.
Yeah.
When they access database, maybe they're calling some procedure in the database and it knows about authentication and all that.
Yep, authentication comes with Firebase, so we built that into the code.
Okay. That answers my question. I just wanted to be sure. Okay.
Okay. So I don't know how you want to do this. If you want to do like build it as we go and get you set up, or you want me to just talk about stuff and then.
Well, maybe you should just talk about stuff because I don't even have this tool you're using.
Okay, but you could get it. I mean, it's not.
Okay, it's for the Mac, I presume?
Right.
And what's it called again?
Visual Studio Code.
And that's from Microsoft?
Yeah.
Okay, because anything that starts with visual is usually Microsoft. Okay. All right, please proceed.
Okay. All right, where to begin?
Now, when you say this is written in JavaScript, you don't just mean straight up JavaScript. You mean like some JavaScript framework that comes from some company, right?
Well, it's not, I don't just have a collection of JavaScript files. So
Okay.
correct. it's within the React framework.
React, thank you. That's what I want. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold
So
on.
it was
I guess I'll wait for 5 seconds. Okay, please proceed.
Okay, actually, so I'm gonna pull a different branch.
Okay, so that was JSON I just saw there. I am a little bit familiar with that,
Well, this is a package JSON, so this is like
right?
the definition of what this uses.
Oh, I see. It's just a package definition for the IDE.
Well, no, this is a package definition for the app.
Right, but it's what the IDE expects to see and understand. Right?
The IDE uses it to, yeah, to install dependencies for this application.
Right. Okay, I got it. I got it.
So, oh yeah, I'm gonna pull a different branch so we can look at actually how it is now. So just the main branch. Oh, I got local stuff. What is going on here? That's weird. Okay. Strange. Okay, so let's get all this. Let's just stash that. Okay. So now we can go to the right branch. Go. All right, so as it is deployed, this is what we got. I was starting to make some changes to the packages. I have a list of things that are like in motion that I'll share with you. Okay, so for styling of the app, we use this Material UI, so it gives it like that almost like Android kind of look
Okay.
to the app, and that's why it looks like that. We have a front-end state management, Redux.
Uh-huh.
So are you familiar with Redux?
Nope.
Redux is solves a problem with React. So React is a collection of components, and there's a hierarchy of these components. So like the app all the way down to the button or the page or the form or things like that. There's a lot of prop sharing, so properties of each of these components. You can give a property to here, and then you want to feed it to the next component. And they call this like prop drilling. So you can get into this problem where you're sending props all the way down to this component, and then anything changes in this hierarchy, and then everything re-renders. And that's not ideal because you don't want just your app re-rendering constantly. It's a single page application, so it's meant to be like it loads once, and then we're just giving it new data to show. So I clicked on a link now, just here's some new data, which is this other page, and this other list of components to show. There's no like, I am completely refreshing the whole thing and going to a new page. Like it's different than that. So Redux
Okay.
is a state manager, so you can save values in a store. And you can pull those values from anywhere in the app. So I can enter this information, say about like the school's settings, like the name of the school and the hours of the classes, and when does this period start and this period end. And we can save that stuff. And if we need it in Redux, and if we need that anywhere, we could show it on any other page, and we don't have to re-render everything. We're just grabbing values from the store when we need them. So that's just kind of a
Okay.
React and Redux kind of go hand in hand in a lot of cases.
So Redux is, yeah, it's instead of having parameters that come through with the page every time you go to a different page, it's all stored in that.
Right.
Okay,
and I use a certain Redux toolkit. So that just means it's basically the toolkit is just kind of like the people who created Redux. It's like their intended usage of the thing. So it's kind of just like boilerplate code for Redux. So as to do things a certain way, a more opinionated kind of way, and I like it. They have a good opinionated way, so I got on board with Redux Toolkit, and I'll show you that. I don't really have any tests, but that was just with the Create React app boilerplate that kind of started the project. What else? Electron. So Electron is it's a technology that allows the web app to be packaged. It's almost like it's inside a wrapper, and that wrapper allows you to have like Windows installable file, like it makes it an installable app for Windows and Mac. And that comes along with some certain deployment related things. So you have to prepare these packages. And I think we had talked about that the Windows machine, there's something about the Windows machine that is needed to deploy the Windows version. We can look at that later too. But that's what I use. That's the only time I really use the Windows machine. And I was saying that I have parallels, so I can run a Windows VM on the Mac and to get that through. Okay, Firebase. So Firebase is our backend as a service, and we will definitely open that up, the console there. I think we've already added you to it, but we'll go ahead and add you to it. If not, well, let's see what else. React. So some of these are just, yeah, there's nothing too important about the rest of this. Using some certain table library just to get the certain functionality out of that. Okay, and then so we got these are scripts. So this means like you can run npm run and then one of these things and it will do it. So we have, this is the thing I think that has to run on a Windows machine. But these are, see, Electron Builder. So it calls this other script. We call this script, and then that script calls Electron Builder with certain parameters and gets these packages ready.
okay, so this is all to load the app when they start it?
No, these specifically are for preparing the app for packaging as like an installable file. So
Oh, okay.
like once I've merged in all the codes of main branch, then I come in here and then I run these, and I can say if I run npm run dist mac, then it's going to create the DMG file.
Okay. Oh, now quick question. When they launch the app on their computer, which could be a Windows computer or a Mac or whatever is supported here, does it open their web browser and then they're using a web app?
No, it's an application on their computer, but
Okay.
the application on their computer is a shell for the web app. So you basically are running the web app inside of a shell.
Okay, and what's the browser engine? Is that just built into the app or what?
There's no special thing for the browser. It's a web app, so I mean, it will load in a browser. The code compiles to, to browser readable.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, although in theory they should all work exactly the same, there are slight differences between different browsers and how and what they do with some code, with some JavaScript code. But
Mhm.
not a problem for this, I guess.
It's always a thing to consider, but I don't think there are currently any like
Okay.
major issues.
Well, I mean, it's kind of, maybe this is what I should be asking. if they launched it on Windows, it would be using the dist Windows definition, right? Obviously.
Yep.
And then when they launched it, it would be like in this window, but it's really a web app running inside that window. And it's JavaScript. But what
Mhm.
browser engine is running that JavaScript? If this is, if the user happens to have Chrome on their computer, it'll use Chrome, or it'd be Microsoft Edge, or what would it be using actually?
That's a good question. I don't know. Look up Electron and
Okay,
what
so
it uses.
Electron somehow sets that up or makes that happen. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like a Chrome driver or something like that
Right.
is the fundamental
Okay,
thing with it.
cool. Just wondered. All right, keep going.
All right. Let's see. So React scripts. Yeah, the rest of this is just so when I want to deploy the new web app, I can run this guy and it will run through it'll run through the deployment process, ask me some questions and do that. Actually, we'll do that before we get off the call because I have a thing that little bug was fixed and we've not published it out yet. So maybe we can run through, we might be able to just run through all these things, like packaging it up and deploying it out, that kind of thing. Uh-oh. Yeah, don't run that. Okay. All right. I don't really know what would be most helpful to go through. I mean, we don't want to go through every file.
Sure. Um, Let me ask you this. If I took on this project, what would I likely be doing? Would I be making little changes to functionality or adding some new features or what? Maybe this is,
Probably adding new features. I mean, it's going to be up to the guys, not me. But so you'd have to more so get with them. But I think, yeah, I mean, I think there will be bugs here and there. There will be some like troubleshooting things,
yeah,
and there'll be new features. They have some new features kind of basically slated that I just barely started to look at. So
okay. But one thing you showed me here for sure is that I could absolutely develop this app on my Mac because that's what you're doing right now, right?
correct, yeah.
Okay. But then when you test it, I guess you got to have a Windows computer and test it there too.
I think that would be best. Yeah,
Since you have dist Windows and dist Mac and all that. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
And what is this language you're looking at right now? It looks like a mix of HTML and what is this?
Well, it is JavaScript. There's one of the things about React is, excuse me, sometimes sometimes these files are JSX.
Okay.
So that is what's the proper name? It's like an extension. Yeah, it's an extension of JavaScript. And it just includes some JavaScript and HTML. So like this JavaScript file it's a component. It's a function-based component, functional component, and the result of the function is it returns a piece of the app. So this is a component.
Gotcha. Okay. It returns a piece of the app. Okay, but this isn't something I would be working on right here. This is just some sort of high level load the app kind of thing, right?
Yes, yeah. This is a pretty top level part. It does a lot of things, but
Like
so you
where,
have finding out routes. I have
gotcha.
this component for showing like messages at the bottom of the screen, like that was successful or that was not successful,
Okay.
that kind of thing.
Okay, I see.
we have navigation component. So like this is like all together, these are like what the app is. And then you can drill down into this.
So it's kind of like, this is like the high level, the whole app is referenced by this file right here. So this is called index.js because it's like you go to the, it's just, that is the top. It's like the index file in a web page or something.
Yeah, basically. I mean, there's a lot of index.js's just to
Oh, okay.
organize what's coming from the other files in the structural
Right,
folder.
right. Okay.
But yeah,
Something that,
this is kind of a special index.js, like you said.
okay, okay. And it's under app. So it's like the highest one or the most fundamental to the app. Okay, and like where would, so basically the whole time they're running they're doing the app, they're in this one page and it's keeping everything in that Redux state data.
Not everything in Redux. I mean,
Okay.
because it is React mainly, which is but structurally it's a made up of components. So like all of these are components.
Gotcha. Okay, so like,
this app bar, that it's a material UI component, so we're using that. And so let's say
material UI, you said is like a sort of like Android for a web app or Android.
it's a style components.
Okay,
So they have a thing called app bar, and we can use it, and it makes it an app bar that is of a certain style.
and it's sort of like what you'd see on an Android phone or something.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep. Yeah, one of the things I was in the middle of, but it's kind of a big hard thing, that is upgrading this material UI to a newer version.
Mm,
There's like they kind of revamped the library and made some more newer, cooler stuff.
of course.
But that's a whole
Okay. Is that like necessary or could you just keep?
not really necessary. It would just be good.
Okay, okay. What about, can you just show me some code where it like hits the database in some way, shape or form, store something or pull something or whatever?
Sure. Have you used any document databases?
No, everything I've done is like been a relation, like
SQL?
table-based relational SQL accessed kind of thing, like
Yeah.
Oracle or MySQL or something like that. SQL Server.
Okay.
So this is not that?
This is not that. This is a document database.
Okay. I mean, I'm taking notes on everything that I'm not completely familiar with so I can research it. Document database. Is that what it's actually called? Just document database?
Well, it's called Firestore when it comes to like the exact one we're using, because that's like the Google Firebase one.
A Firestore document database. And you do not access that with SQL or do you do?
You do not access that with SQL. I mean, it has well, okay, so that's maybe not true.
But
It has interfaces, so you can access it with SQL type.
okay, but you're not doing that in this app. I guess that's what I should be saying.
I'm not writing SQL, no.
Okay. Okay.
But the way this works, so we're looking at the database right now.
Right, but we're just looking at some sort of web UI that shows you what's in the database in some way, shape, or form, right?
Yes.
Okay, but this is not anything the user would use or that your program uses. This is just for us to examine the database as a developer. Is that right? There's this UI that we're looking at right here. This is just for you, me, Paul, somebody like that to examine the database. This is not something that the app uses. This is not something that the user would ever use, unless I'm mistaken.
Right. They're not going to use this UI
Okay. Okay.
for the app. Yeah.
They use that. That is their UI.
The app. Yes.
Okay. So
So-
you're sort of constructing something that's kind of like SQL, where you're just.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to just show simply. So this is collection where this is the case and that kind of thing. All right, so that is that, but I'll show you. So yeah, you can look at these, and these are just JSON documents.
Okay,
So, like this is a JSON doc. This whole thing is a JSON document.
yeah. And
There's
it's
there's
showing
not
it-
private keys. There are
Right.
no foreign keys.
It's
there's
just
nothing
JSON, but showing it to you as sort of a collapsible hierarchical accordion thing.
Yeah, each one
The
of
actual,
these.
so the actual JSON file is just a text file, right?
What?
I mean, JSON is actually a text file. It's just it just contains text. And this is like a UI that's showing us that text in some sort of collapsible hierarchical.
Yeah, these documents, yes, they are text in a certain way. I mean, JavaScript object notation, so like
Right.
as JavaScript objects, but yeah,
Okay, but like that file that we're looking at right now, that's an actual file with a file name, right?
this is the file. Yes, this is a document.
Okay, and that document, if
Yes.
you opened it in like a text editor, it would look like JSON, just a bunch of JSON. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So, so each, say, person in the, or each object in the database, each person or school or what have you, is basically a JSON file.
Yes.
Okay, so that's how this database works. It's JSON files with stuff in them.
Yep.
Okay. As opposed to like a table-based kind of Oracle type thing. All right, so let me think, what else is there to ask? Were you going to show me some code where you're like making database changes or doing something with the database?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
this is my database interface file. So it's where I do.
Firebase.js.
Yep. So I have. See, I got my key stuff here. What did I do here? Oh, I just left this old thing. I think we deleted this, so we don't need this. Or we inactivated it or something. Yeah, so these are references, what we were just looking at. The project we were just looking at in the Firebase console is the same app.
Okay,
So when the app initializes, we do all these things, and then we just define this stuff. So we call auth, Firebase, Firestore, database storage. Actually, I don't know that we use. Some of this we might not use. I think we don't use this stuff. We only use these top two. There will be some things like that, unused stuff. I just didn't clean up. But this is basically it. So I use these down below whenever I'm doing like add a tardy to a student. I'm using this collection. These are all collections. So this student's collection is this collection. So the student's collection is this whole thing.
I see.
Ew, what happened with this guy?
So that's like a problem right there. Primary key is not supposed to have funky characters in it.
Well, there's not a primary key. So that's,
Oh, it says PK. I thought that meant primary key, maybe not.
I don't know what happened with
Wait a
that.
minute, wait a minute, click on the next one.
It doesn't have that.
I know. Okay, but so that one starts with account ID, but then if you go up to the top one, it has account ID, but it has something else before it that doesn't, yeah.
Yep, that's weird. I don't know what's up with that.
Like data corruption or something?
Yeah, it looks like it. I don't know how that would have got written there. But so let's look at something to do with this guy. So does the student exist? So I get that collection. And then I feed it these things. So where the badge ID is the one they gave us,
Yeah.
where the account ID is the account. Get that. And so these are asynchronous. So we have to wait on stuff if we want it to happen right now.
Right. And that's what
we're doing this.
So that's what the await is to wait on it.
Right. I don't know if you know about promises in JavaScript, but this is,
No, but I get the idea. In other words, what you're saying is that you could put in that request and the code would continue even before you got anything back. But you don't want it to do that. You want it to just hang until that comes back and then continue execution.
yeah,
And the execution is just to return the value that it got back. So the await says, don't return until this comes back and then return with it. Yeah, I get it.
yeah.
And so
Yeah.
if it never comes back, does that hang the whole app? Or it just hangs this function right here?
But that's a good question. Yeah, I think it does not hang the whole app. I think it's, I don't know.
Okay, but I understand. Await means we could continue execution while waiting for that to come back, but we're not going to. We're going to wait for it to come back and then return it.
Yes, so we could just not wait
Yeah.
on that, and then
That
all
could,
all the code after calling this would continue to go.
but it would have like a null or something, right? What would it return with?
It would be a promise that was not resolved yet. So
You really don't want
keep,
that. You
it
want
would
to
keep
say,
going through the code. Well, I mean, it just depends on
oh, okay. In
what
other
you
words,
need.
if the code that got
If you
that-
don't care, if you don't care if it comes back
I get it.
later.
In other words,
then
it
just-
all depends on what the calling code tries to do next. If it sees that this is a promise that hasn't been fulfilled yet, then it has to decide what to do with that. But if it, yeah, I get it. We don't want to do that. We want to send it back to the student. And so we're going to wait. That's what the await is. The await is to make sure that it doesn't return until it has it.
Yeah,
I
I
get
mean, I could have like a
I guess
add
they
a bad. I could
Take-
have like add badge to the student picture or something like that. Like something that doesn't matter that much.
Okay.
And then I could just not wait on it. Like let the code keep going. We'll get the, it's a callback at that point. So the promise is waiting. It will come back eventually, and then when it comes back later, then it finishes and it adds the badge to the thing, and it's all good. But
Okay.
this is a thing where I'm like, I need to know at the time I'm calling this whether
Right.
the student exists or not.
Right. So we're not waiting on that. We need to know it now. So we just got to wait for it to tell us. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So this database interface is asynchronous just by its nature. So
Right.
it's just the way
So
the database.
Anytime you ask for anything, your code can continue executing and you'll get that back at some point
Yes.
in the variable where you tried to place it or whatever.
Yep.
Okay. And so until then, the variable just contains some kind of promise, like you said.
It's an unresolved promise, which will be declined or rejected or something, or the other one.
The data that we supply.
Or something. Resolved or rejected. That's what it is.
Okay. Yeah, I've never dealt with that thing, the exact thing you're talking about, but I've heard of stuff like that. So yeah, that makes sense. Now that
Yeah,
right there,
let's look at where this is used. I guess that might be.
it says do fetch students equals async. What does the async do?
Async means it can wait. If I don't have this,
Oh,
then look at this await. I can't do the wait.
oh, okay.
So I have to define this function as an async function.
Gotcha.
That way I can wait on this async function here that calls
Okay.
this students.
I get it.
Yeah.
And it's still underlined in red just because it hasn't figured it out yet or something.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
All right.
Whatever, it's fixed now.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, I said we lean on Redux a lot. So let's look at Redux a little bit. It's in the store. So Redux, it allows you to define your store front-end store code in like this thing called slices. So we'll look at the student slice. We were just looking at something there. So go to the top. All right. So this gives us like an initial state for the student slice. So am I searching for students? No. Am I loading or updating students, deleting students? Like these are all flags that I use in the app to say like, oh, you're searching for a student? Oh, okay, well, while you're searching for a student, show this like spinner or whatever. Like
Okay.
let people know that stuff is happening when they're doing things. So we of course give those all false to begin with. So all of these are like that. They're just things that help us manage the life cycle of the user experience.
Okay.
So what here? So and then we have these. Let's connect it back to the Firebase. So do fetch students. Yeah, okay. I just saw that here. Okay. So I have this, which is a what do you call it? An action creator. Well, a thunk. It's a thunk, which is a sort of promise. And you can see it's async, so we can also wait on it or let it just happen. Okay, so in our slice, in our app is what our app pages or whatever is what's going to call this thunk.
Uh-huh.
So there's gonna like when the app loads or something, we'll follow the trail. I mean, back again to see where this is used. But the app is gonna call this, and when that happens, we're doing some checks like, do we already have students in here? And like, this is state students. Like the state means like this slice of the state. So the students slice. Do we have any students? If we don't, then go ahead and fetch them. And I think
Something happened to my Zoom and I'm not seeing your screen anymore. Let me fix it. It'll just take a second.
okay.
I hope it'll just take a second. I can see your screen, but it's like tiny. And that's not going to work. I can't even read it. I just got an alert and then like Zoom decided to go into some background mode and it's just total headache all of a sudden.
Hmm.
Okay, I think I fixed it. Okay, now I see you and the screen is tiny up top. Okay, there. Now I'm in the screen. Okay, back to the screen. Go ahead, please. So you do fetch students. I can see it.
Yeah, do fetch students. So this is calling that Firebase thing. So that's where that's called.
Gotcha.
We're waiting on that to come back. And so what happens when that comes back? So let's look at that. So these are more thunks. These are more just promises. Oh boy. Okay. So I don't want to get into really explaining reducers, but it's the whole thing of Redux is basically based on the JavaScript reduce and map and reduce functions. But these reduce, well, let's just skip that part for me. Okay. So we're fetching students, right? So when we have a case here, so we can listen for that. So when we fetch the students and it's fulfilled, then here we go. I'm using my slice. So I have this adapter that manages this front end slice of state of the app, and I can set this action payload is all those students that I just fetched. So now I set it, and now I have those students in Redux in my front end, like in my front end state. So I give it I believe I give it an account. Yep. So it's this account. So basically, when the app loads, well, let's follow it back. So this part is where we're setting all the students once we get them. If there's a payload that comes back from that thunk that we just looked at, then the action payload gets set in state as the students.
Okay.
So this adapter says, yeah, we're setting the students stuff with that. I know this is a lot, so I'm glad we're recording it.
Yes,
Okay.
and I'm not really trying to memorize all this, but I'm just getting a feel for what the whole thing's all about. That's
All
all.
right. Okay. All right. So let's follow this thing back. So when do we call fetch students? So fetch students. Okay, it looks like we do it in 2 places. So when we go to on the account settings page and then with just the app. So when the app loads, let's just go to the app one. Well, before we do that, get this thing out of the way. Student slice. Okay, before we do that, we need to search for that. I think because we have to export this so we can use it. Oh, we are already exporting in when we define the thunk. See, we're exporting this.
Okay.
So that means we can pull it in to other places.
And what is a thunk? Is that a React.js thing?
Yeah. What is it? What is a thunk? A thunk is it's a promise. Type of promise. It's
Give me 10 seconds. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. Continue. A thunk.
okay. Well, so you got to know about Redux. Redux is about actions and reducers. You dispatch actions and reducers are functions that reduce, like the JavaScript reduce function that takes a state and gives you a new state. So it reduces the state into a new object that is the new state. So everything just moves forward. Like this is it's called functional programming. So it's like everything only goes forward. It's like
Okay.
Immutable things. So it's you want to make a change. Okay, I realize you want to make a change. I'm going to take that into consideration when I create the new state of the app, and I'm going to return this new object, which is the new state. So you're never like mutating things.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, so it always moves forward. A thunk is just so we have actions and reducers. Thunks are action creators, so it basically is just a way to return a function that your action can use. I don't know if I said that right, but it's something like that. It's a function. It's a way to have this function.
So that's like sort of a concept I could research and
Yes, definitely research Redux thunk, and Redux Toolkit uses Redux thunk library. So yeah, look up Redux thunk and that might help there. So all right, we are import now. So we exported it from there, from our store, from our slice, and now we can import that into other files. So see, I'm importing it from that slice where we exported it.
Okay.
And so when the app loads, why do I call this twice? I don't know why this is being called twice. Weird. Okay. Well, so, okay, so you don't know React that well, but use effect is It's a hook. And it is a way for every time this thing that you feed it changes,
Uh-huh.
this will be called again.
Okay, so it's kind of like,
So
it's like a hook, right? It's just like
it's a listener. Yeah, it's a listener that
like
says,
a database trigger. It's kind of like a trigger.
kind of, yeah, conceptually the same kind of idea. If I had it like this, then it would be when this, it will do it one time. And it's like when this component is loaded, it will call this effect once.
Okay.
But we, for whatever reason, we have it when this account changes,
Then we do it.
then we reload, refetch the students if the account changes. So I think that was the idea, is like, maybe I'm a part of different schools or something. So if I don't think we have this feature, but maybe I was just thinking into the future. So in the future, if there's like some account switcher type of feature, then when you switched your accounts, you'll get new students. So that was based on account ID. So here's another thing. So get account ID is a selector. So that's also a Redux thing. So now I'm in session slice, see? So this is more like about the app and things the app is doing. So see, my account ID is based on the auth user. You see, I remember how we looked in here. I
Mhm.
see like account ID.
Right,
Oh, there's more than one of those weird ones.
yeah,
Okay. Well, anyways, so yeah, account ID. So it's based on this guy.
okay.
And that is, where do we set user state auth user? So yeah, we log in, have a login function. And this is back to our Firebase file. And so I mean, basically we're just calling the Firebase's function. So see, this is kind of like how we don't have a server, really. I mean, we don't have an API that's sitting on a server that's waiting to get a call with slash login and then do stuff.
Right. So you're just signing in every time you want to do something.
Well, the signing in is the signing in. I mean, it's just
Right.
the app and you're signing in. But what I'm saying is we don't just have an API that is deployed to a server somewhere that's waiting for the front end to call it to do stuff. Like, give me the students, and then the API calls Firebase. It's not like that. Firebase is the API and the database. It's like
Right,
back
right.
in.
There's no middle layer, kind of, in effect.
Right.
It's part of Firebase, if it exists at all, yeah.
Yeah, authentication, authorization, and just the database layer interface. It's all kind of wrapped up in the Firebase solution.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is this Firebase, is it like want to be accessed with apps like this, or is that just one way to do it? I'm just curious. Like this
What
type
do you
of,
mean?
this type of
What-
all JavaScript app that gets compiled and distributed as a big thing. Is this how you would typically use a Firebase database? Or I guess not necessarily, it's just Firebase is its own thing. And we're just
I mean,
using,
I think it might be a typical use case, like kind of how we're doing it.
okay.
I think. I don't know. I
It's
think
just, okay, I'm just trying to understand the technologies, as it really is not relevant to this work, yeah, okay, got it.
okay.
Please continue.
Yep. So we got a lot of stuff in Firebase file.
Mhm.
Um,
And like that thing right
So-
there, oops, sorry. That thing right there where it says, I'm sorry, make that thing go away if you don't mind, that pop up. Okay, there, yeah. So where it says DB user equals await this dot users, and it has some stuff. That's like that's a database access right there, right? It's like where we're going to, it's not going to continue the code until it gets that user and it's getting it from the Firebase. Is that more or less what's going on there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because there is, we merged two things together, and that is the user from this database, which we kind of control which fields are here,
Mhm.
and then the user from, what is this? Okay, yeah, the user from authentication. So it has its own authentication system, and that's what we use with the app. So these users, what the code was doing back there is finding this user, like the one that's logged in. It already knows that. So it said like this auth user or whatever. Yeah, we already have an auth user.
Yeah.
So we have the auth user, and then we say, go to the database and go to the users table, and then pull that in. And then we're kind of mixing these. Yeah, see, we merge it here. So we create a super object with the authentication information and the DB information. And that's what the app is considering, like the user, the current user.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's probably not much you have to do with these pieces.
Yeah, you're just telling me, you're just sort of showing me how it works. I probably wouldn't be working on this code, right?
Yeah, unless there's some bug or something, but
Right. Right.
what else?
So where's like like when the app is in some state where they're looking at something and they have a UI on their screen, where's that UI defined? Let's say they have, maybe just launch the app if you can.
Yep, I can. We did look at the high level version, so in the app,
We did.
like basically this is what it's showing. I mean, but and you
Okay.
just you can
Oh,
just drill down.
those things right there are the UI elements. I get it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, like you'll see this at the top.
Okay.
We actually never built this feature, but you'll still see it on the screen.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can run it. So let's just go back and reference our package JSON, see what scripts we have. So we want to do npm run start. Cool. What happened here? Oh, I see. So we're not in the right folder. Yeah, for some reason, I think that's the thing that got screwed up at the very beginning.
Maybe there really isn't enough time to do that right now. It's okay. But you showed me where the UI was defined. That's what that sort of mix of HTML type stuff was. That was the UI. I get it. And that UI is always present. So when they're using the app, that UI is always up. And they just do stuff with it. Right?
Can you ask that question again?
Like like when they're using the app, that UI that you showed me, you didn't show me the UI, but you showed me the definition of it in the code. Is this it right here? It's coming up? Okay. Let's just hold my question until I see the app. Uh-oh, well, maybe not.
Can't resolve material UI / icon.
Okay, that's not really necessary. Paul showed it to me a while ago. It's just been long enough that I don't really remember exactly what it looked like. But I'm sure if I work on this, then I'll definitely be seeing it a lot. So the UI is not defined in some sort of UI builder or something. It's defined by code.
Well, what do you mean by UI?
Well,
So
like like back in the day, and like I don't know what to reference here, Visual Basic or something like that. You built a UI in some sort of UI interface builder where you threw down controls and buttons and stuff, and then you put code behind them. Well, this is not like that. This is all defined by code. Am I
Yeah,
correct?
that's correct.
Okay. Like you were writing, like if you were writing a web page and you wanted to have a UI in it, you would build it by writing HTML that defines that UI and how it's going to look. Okay.
Yeah, the HTML is included. I mean, it's returned by the JavaScript
Right.
of the app. So each one is like a chunk of the app.
Okay. That's cool. I get it.
Yeah.
Just helping me answer, get the full picture of what's going
Yeah,
on.
sure, man.
Awesome.
Uh,
Okay. Well, yeah, this has been extremely helpful. I know much more about this than I knew before. A whole lot more. And I took little notes about the key technologies so I can sort of research them and try to get a feel for what they're all about. And